So I hope everyone can see my screen. So yesterday we have seen about this text screenshot thing and the driver and the Excel uh, part, and we were able to successfully execute this test case, and the data was coming from the Excel. Let me execute it. So this we have executed, and the actual data that we had given was the correct credentials. So here we can create different sheets as well. So this data, what I will do is in sheet 2 I'll say, and then this sheet I'll rename as invalid login. So invalid login, and here I would pass some dummy username and the dummy password, so which would give us the invalid details. So now the sheet name is invalid login, right? Here what we can do is, instead of getting the sheet of 0 index, this index would be 1, or the sheet name as well. With the sheet name as well, you can get this thing. So how can you do? It's what wb dot get sheet of sheet name. Here in double quotes we can pass the value, and the sheet name that we want is this one. This will store in this variable. I'll just comment it out. Okay, it gets the sheet and sheet name. So here we are just okay, sorry. Here we are getting the sheet name, and here however we are giving that only, right? Yeah, that's fine. So instead of calling this orange HRM login sheet, I'll call invalid login. So this would give us the data from that sheet, which is a first row, 0th column, and then that value. First row, first cell, that value, and the username and password. Now if we execute this, so it would give us, it would take the invalid credentials login, and then there would be some error on the page, and that error on the page we are also verifying in this particular test case. Right, this is what we are also verifying here. So here if actual, so testing is passed is what they have given, right? Now and then this screenshots. So if you see the screenshots here, refresh it. Here, whatever screenshot name we have given, one is with credentials entered, and then the other one is this thing. So this two screenshots were taken right now. But if you see, the other thing that I would like to tell here is, if you need a screenshot for each and every step, so this three this three lines is what we are just repeating in our code, right? So if we have 10 steps, so 10 into this 3, what, 30 lines would be again extra just for screenshots, right? And then same way, not only with screenshot, with also the other lines of code. Example, the so even the Excel thing. So Excel writing. So for this Excel, you have written this line of code and you are getting data. What if you had a different Excel, and then that different Excel, for the different Excel again, this whole thing you would have written this many lines of code, right? So this particular part of code, and other thing is even this, for Chrome driver you are using this thing. Now this Chrome driver thing, again and again, if you need in different test cases. So let me just again write some different test case. So one test case we already had, right? And so second test case, I would say login with, instead of invalid we can say valid credentials. Test case 2 I will rename it, and then in this valid credentials, so everything code remains same. Only thing is, yeah, data which was coming from invalid, now I want it from other sheet which has valid credentials. So here you can rename it to valid login credentials or something like that, but I'm keeping as it is for now. So this would give us valid credentials. So if you execute this, now Chrome driver would be open, maximized, and then implicit timeout, then this username is entered on this URL and the password, and then send keys to the password, and then we are taking the screenshots. So if you want screenshots, yeah, you can take. As for this particular step, I don't need it, I'll just remove, or else here that it that screenshot is not required. uh, so you verify error message. So error message we won't be getting it, right, basically. So after login, so if you log in, admin and login, after login is what we would get this screen and this thing, right? So after login, in the script we can also say, so this whole line of code is what I don't need it. Click on login button. After login button, there's some page title. Page title is still the same, so we cannot take page title referencing whether the thing was logged in or not. So what I'll do is, after clicking on login button, we'll try to see if this particular element is present or not. So either the search box or this employee information or this pin or this add button, anything, whatever is present, if it is there, then based on that, mm, we can say after this credentials, after clicking on login button, the screen was navigated to the logged in screen, right? So for that, we'll just inspect this. Here we have this div li class xt user drop down, some span and peak. So on this name, user drop down name. So I'll take this class, seems like it would be unique only. There's only one match. So uh, or the XPath, I'll write it here. So XPath would be what? P is a tag name at the rate class equals to, this is attribute, right? This value I can take. Now, if this particular thing is visible, or this has the text called Paul Collins. So if we verify this, then that thing would be, we can say that screen was logged in, and basically this, where is that fifth? Yeah. So with this particular element, if it is visible, present, or the text is there in this, so we can assume or say through our automation script that the screen was at the logged in page. So here, how to write that? So we have element, right? First of all, so how to find that element? Driver dot find element by dot. So what is that? So XPath, right? So this is our element. I would store this in some variable, which is web element logout drop down element is what I just rename it. Okay. And then, so here, if you have seen in our previous sessions, so I'll just give a recap wherein remove registration. Just I'll write it again. So here, web driver wait. We had written this web driver wait, then wait equals to new web driver wait of, you can add that, and here so it accepts this two parameters, one is driver and then the time. So this is other version, right? That's why it is taking this two parameters. So I would say our driver web driver is driver, and time that I want to wait is still 20 seconds, let's say. And then here wait dot until is a function, and then expected conditions is what we are looking for, dot. So in this, element to be clickable, element to be frame to be available, presence of element located is what we are looking for. So we can take that, or text to be present in element. So here we have this method as well. You can take presence of element located, or I can say text to be present in element. So this text to be present in element is what I would take. And I know in this particular element, the text is Paul Collins, right? So I'll just check if that text is there or not. So in this element, I want the value as, and with semicolon, and the value that I'm looking for is this Paul Collins, right? So I'll just copy this Paul Collins, and here I would paste it. So now once this line is executed, then I would take the screenshot, and the screenshot name at this point of time, what I would give is uh, so screenshot verify login error not it's the screenshot with the user logged in. Let's take this thing. So I'm taking all the screenshot as well, right? So now we'll try to execute and see if the script is working fine or not. See, it has logged in and wait as well. So which means this line is executed now, and this line is executed in the sense it has also had wait for this. So this, the element was found here. Now instead of this Paul Collins, let's say you are expecting something else. After S, I would write some other characters. And now if you are looking for something which is not present on the screen, basically our script should fail, right? Here it got passed, but you're not able to see that. But yeah, I'm just deliberately giving something which doesn't exist on the page, and I'm just waiting it for or a failure message. That's it. So let it execute and we'll see. So after login, now it is what next step is waiting for this particular line to execute. So it's waiting after logged in screen. It's looking for Paul Collins www whatever I've given that text, right? So this thing. So after 20 seconds, the script gets failed, and 20 seconds is over, and now the script got failed. And what is the failure? If you see here, timeout exception, expected condition failed, waiting for text this to be present in element in this X path. You see, try it for 20 seconds. With every 500 milliseconds, it just checks if that element, the text is present or not, text is present or not. And then here, so with this thing, the line numbers as well you can see. So you see at login with valid WebDriver wait, this is some internal class. Fluent wait is also internal, but this login with valid cred uh, uh, class is what we had created, and that Java line number 106. So line number 106 is what this. So it is failing. So if you can just directly click on this line, it would highlight that particular class where that is and the line. So which means the error is because of this particular line. So there is something issue with this, either with your code, or if your code is correct, you are saying, then with the application, either of that. So but we know in the application it is correct. So then we need to change our expected is what this thing. So if you now execute, we won't get this error, right? So everything everyone clear with this thing? or anyone has any doubts in this? So here we have two test cases, one with invalid and one is with valid. Yeah, someone wants to ask any doubts? Okay, then. So similarly, we just had two test cases, right? And one with logged in, and let's say logout as well. So how to inspect this logout? Just click on this logout and we get this a link with logout. So what I will do is I'll just create another test case, which is test case 3, but it would be login logout, let's say. So I just want to create multiple test cases is what my aim is here. So the unnecessary code you can remove it. Only thing is that it should log in and log out. So after login, we are also waiting here, right? And then we know that element is this thing. So what would be our and the screenshot, if you see, like here, if I refresh this thing, I'll just refresh the whole project itself. Right click, refresh, and then user logged in. So here is our screenshot thing. Here, user logged in, and that screenshot, if you see, a logged in page is shown, right? So even that screenshot has been taken. So now here login logout. So in this login logout test, so after login, after waiting for that logout drop down to be visible, I just don't want again screenshots. If you want, you keep it. For me, it's not required. So I have this logout drop down. So first step is how to. It is not normal select field, right? Wherein the tag of this is not select. So it is something else. So that's why normally this click and then select creation of object of the select class and then selecting value as logout is not possible, because these are links, these are not options. And if you see the other tag that I have shown in the earlier sessions, so the tag for that element would be select and then the options would be option tag. But here this is li and a tag, right? Ui, whole thing. So and that is basically a div and not the select thing. So normal select class object creation and all, it won't work. For that, normally manually, how are you doing? You are just clicking on that particular thing. So same way through our script as well, we would say. So what Murli, can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. So here, so the element is what? Our element dot first step is what? To click on that element. So we had already clicked on this thing. So with this particular step, what it does is it clicks on this drop down, right? On this thing. So it clicks here. Then we need to select, then we get logout. So if you don't click the drop down and directly if you just say click logout, so logout is not visible on this page, right? So then that element would not be visible. So that's why first we need to click and then the logout uh, thing would be available. And then this is a tag, right? So you can find this element with anchor tag of this text. So same way I'll do it here. I'll say driver dot find element by dot link text is what I'm looking for, and the text of that link is logout. Dot click is what I'm looking for, right? This thing. Now here Once I have written this thing, now let's execute if it is logging and logout and any other extra codes that we have. So this, yeah, Excel, from Excel we are reading, that's fine. And this, I'm not using it. Messages, if you want, you can keep, else. So right click, run as Java application. It has logged in, and then clicked on that drop down logout. That's it. Logout is also done, and program was executed. See, everything was done fast. And then if you want to close as well, yeah, driver.close is what we can give. It also closes this window after login, after this logout as well. So we have three test cases now, one with invalid credentials, one with valid credentials, and the other one is login and logout. Same way you would have n number of test cases, right, in the application. So other can be like this forgot password. So we also test forgot password. So after coming this screen, click on forgot password thing and give some detail over here, and then click on for invalid thing. Again, after giving this, click on cancel. Is it navigating to the login screen or not? It should not say, okay, link has been sent after clicking on cancel button, right? That part of testing also we do. And then through automation also, you can say, okay, forgot password functionality test, that to invalid. Invalid in the sense, go here, and then again, giving a valid username, invalid username. So if the application is designed in a way saying, if a valid username is given, and clicking on reset would give us a success message saying, okay, email has been sent or the link has been sent, like that. And if user is giving some invalid username which doesn't exist in the application, and clicking on this, it should give a message saying this username does not exist, or if the username is correct, the link would be sent. Some kind of a requirement that completely this whole functionality of the application depends on what the requirement is. So if the requirement is in that way, then just test that thing accordingly. So here give some username, click reset, and then whatever the message the requirement says, if we are getting that or not. So same thing through automation, you can write create some other class or page, forgot password functionality, reset password functionality, and then automate that. Same way after this, so after login as well, you would have so after login as well, you have add employee information. So here adding some employee details you can add, right? So and then click search. So it should give a message saying no records found, because you have not given a valid details. So if you are giving something which exists, something which is valid, or add button, so this way you can add the employees as well, and then you can search. So there are n number of scenarios that you can create if you are really interested in seeing how this automation works. How can we automate an application? So basically in a real time as well, you would have this kind of application, and then you would automate basically most of the stuff. So whatever functionality you test manually, almost those thing, if we think that most of the time that functionality, most of the time this particular feature, add feature, or login logout feature, or the search feature would be used n number of times in our testing. So if we are going to use some part of functionality again and again to test, after every new build, after every new changes that were made in the application, and then we would test it manually, then those particular scenarios is what we need to automate it. just to avoid manual efforts. So then we can automate all these steps here, and yeah, you can create n number of steps. So for now, our test cases are just 3, let's say, and it would be many more, but for now, let's just take only 3. So since we have this test cases, and in this 3 test cases, now if you see test case 1, so the code is what you have given how to open the Chrome browser, right? For now, it is only true 2 lines, but again, whether it is 2, 3, or 100 lines. So if you see something is repeating in your code, some lines of code is being repeating again and again, you see, so this type of code is what you shouldn't be writing. And the other thing as well, like this driver dot find element by dot something, driver dot find element, you are writing every time by dot something, right? So this lines of code, click, send keys. So this, what you can do is, just to avoid this repetition, I have already told you the importance of method, right? In Java when we are doing. So basically, whatever lines of code, what a method is, so whenever we call, that particular line of code would be executed. So same way, we can create methods for the repeated lines, and then whenever we need those particular line of code, we just call that method instead of all that lines again and again repeating, duplicating. We just call that method. So how do we do that? I'll just copy this package again. HRM, here I'll say refactor something. I'll close all, and we have this one test case. So we have, first thing that I would do is, let's take this Chrome browser open thing. So open Chrome browser, right? So we have this 2 lines of code, and I don't want this 2 lines of code in each and every class. Now there are three classes. You have called these 2 lines, that is in total 6, right? And then if there are 100 test cases, 100 into 2, 200 lines would be duplicated. Same way, the screenshot, there are 3 lines, right? And then there's 3 lines in one class itself. If you need 5 times, so 5 into 3, 15 lines, 15 into, then in all that 100 test cases, if you need 15 into 100, 1500 lines of code, you see, uh, the lines would be duplicating. So those particular part is what we can reduce it by creating methods. So how we can do that, I'll show you. Is our line of code, yeah, this one. So what I will do is, yeah, here itself in our package we can create, or somewhere else as well we can create our uh, code. So just to open this thing, so inside this package, should I create or a different hosting? Not sure if you guys would be confused, but yeah, I'll create a different package called common something. So common code, let's say. So inside this one class I would create, so this is for, let's say, browser class, and I don't need main method because I won't be executing this class. Basically, I would store some sort of codes, right? So here, so what I will do is, in the same test case itself, if you are not getting confused, so outside the main method, so main method, if you see, main method is here, right? So after this main method as well, you can create. So I would create method, how to create method? Public, again static, public static void, and then this is Chrome browser open, right? Your own method. So I would say open browser is what my method is, and then the line of code is this one. Now we have this thing. So basically, to create the common method, what we have to do is, so this driver and the one that we are going to use in our code, so we shouldn't be here. I won't be using basically this line of code now, because to open browser I have written something, and then but then when I remove that web driver, all these driver related things is what we are getting error, and here we have defined. So this driver scope is only inside this method, right? So that's why, just to avoid this particular limitation, what we can do is, in the class level itself, you can create the variable. So we have I've created web driver, this driver thing, and I don't want this to be referred, so I want that driver to be referred. And then this driver, since our method over here is what, web driver, this is non-static, and this wherever we are calling is static again, right? Even this method, this is static. So that's why this driver, instead of non-static, you need to define this as static if you're going to call it in static method. So either change this or don't call it in static thing. Non-static you cannot call in static, right? So this thing, when I declare this step, so first step is I have declared a web driver at the class level, and then so I have written one method wherein this method would take care of opening the Chrome browser, right? So same way this is done. Now in our line of code main method, so we do this thing and we call, and we, if we execute, it would basically give us exception, right? So let me execute and show you. You see, cannot invoke because form.hrmlogin is null. So which line of code? 69. 69 is what? So it is executing. So initially the driver value is null, right? This, or by default internally it would look like this. Okay, so this one, now it goes to the main method. It doesn't go to that method, because until and unless this method is called, it won't execute this. So without you opening Chrome browser, what are you doing? You are going to the main method, and in main method, what is your next line of code? So you're printing, this would be fine, reading Excel, okay, and you have just given a comment but no code. Next is maximize browser. So maximize browser, when you are doing, so what, you have not even opened which browser you want, and then you are saying just maximize it. So that's why we are getting null pointer exception, right? So this way, so before this step is what we need to open that Chrome browser. So how to open? We need to call that method over here. So how to call? Just call with the method name and open browser. So open browser when you call. So before this line gets executed, this method is called, and in this method, you would have some line of code. Now the driver, instead of null, it would store value as Chrome driver. Chrome driver browser is open, and then on that Chrome browser driver, it maximizes and then does all these steps. So let me now execute this code. You see, it has opened and logged in. So the code is working fine. Now, wherever in this class, again, if you need to open that browser, so again, after this execution, you can again call this open browser as well. So n number of times after execution, after doing this, after code is executed, if you want to open again, so I'll close the browser as well, and then I will open browser again, just with one line, whatever lines of code, and then I would open again. N number of times I can call. I can just run. So you see here it should open this. There are only two. So it has logged in, login with invalid credentials, close the browser, new browser open, another browser open. Like how many times we have called, that many times it opens, right? I'll close this. So this is how the advantages of method again. And then same way, so if you see any line of code that is being repeated, is what you just create a method and then call that method in your code. So just like here, open browser I said. So here we are opening Chrome browser. We can also open Edge or Firefox, right? So how to do that? So to open Edge, our method would be what? Driver equals to new Edge driver. Edge driver is what we have, right? And then the web driver reference that we had written, web driver manager dot edge driver dot setup is what we would need. The same way, this is for Chrome, this is for Edge, for Firefox if you want. So driver equals to new Firefox driver and then Firefox setup. So web driver manager dot Firefox driver dot setup. So this way. Now if you call this Chrome browser, so driver would be opened in all this. Now let me execute. I'll show you what happens. So this one thing, if you understand, then the whole framework, whenever you are working on, you would understand why these two methods are created, why things are there, here and there. So it has opened this thing, and now Edge it has opened, and now the Firefox it has opened. So it has opened all the three because in that method we have said, right? So to open all that three browsers, so application is getting launched on the last browser that is called, and then you see in Firefox the script is executed and it has closed the Firefox, and then it is opening again and again all that three because of this line of code, open browsers that we have called. So let me just terminate it. So here, if you had seen, so open browser is doing all these three, but then we don't want this three at a time, right? Only when it is required we would need it. So here, here comes, we can either write switch case that we had already done in previous thing, or if and else statement. So what we can do is, open browser itself, we would ask the user. So this one is open browser, and I'll just create another thing. So one is open browser, I would say. So open browser would just open Chrome, and then open browser with some parameter. I would ask the user which browser to open. Browser name, I would ask the user, give the browser name, and then based on browser name, here I would say, if browser name dot equals, I will say ignore case as well, if browser name equals to if the user gives Chrome as the input, and then I would just open this Chrome, right? Same way, else if browser name dot equals ignore case, this is what, edge, right? So if the user gives me input as edge like this, then I would open this line of code, execute this edge browser. Same way, if user gives any other value, I would say else, or else if Firefox, if you want, you can write that way and then do that, or else I'll say else. If user gives any other value than Chrome or Edge, I would open Firefox. So now you have two methods. If you call open browser, so it would open Chrome. But then if you call open browser with some parameters here, now here inside this, I would say Edge or Firefox. So I'd say Edge. Okay, by default, instead of opening Chrome, I would open this, because Chrome is more effective for me. So if nothing is called, it would open Edge browser. If open browser of something is called, like I would, if I pass Chrome, it should open Chrome. If I pass Edge, it should open Edge. If I pass nothing, it should open Firefox. So here I'm calling Edge, or I'll call Chrome. So if you now see, it would just open Chrome. See, Chrome browser has opened and it has logged in, and perform the logout, close, done, script executed. So instead of Chrome, if you say Edge, it would call Edge. If you don't pass any parameter, there is another method that we have written. If empty is there, then open Edge. So then it opens the Edge browser. So Edge browser maximized, logged in that URL, yeah, executed. You see? Same way, now if you need different browser, you just give something here. For Firefox, give Firefox, or give some invalid thing. So when you give some invalid thing, what it does, it goes to this method, and inside this it has some invalid thing. It doesn't satisfy this condition, doesn't satisfy this condition, and it goes to else, and it executes this. It opens Firefox. Now if you execute this code, some invalid value is there, that's why it opens Firefox. You see, a Firefox browser is opened, it's launching that URL and logged in. Done. So this is how you can write methods and common methods. So same way for screenshots as well. So you have this screenshot method here in this class. Again, outside this main method, you can say public static void screenshot you need, right? So screenshot method, just give some name. and then here is what our this line of code, and then file path 2. So instead of file path 2, I would ask the user itself what is the file path. So here string file path is what I need when you need screenshot. So that file path I will just pass it here, and then this method would throw some exception. We'll just call it. That's it. Now here, so this you don't need. You can create anything. Some this thing to this thing. I'll just refactor this code. So this is what we have done. And now whenever we need screenshot, so here we need screenshot, right? I would not call this line of code. So instead of this, I'll say just call my method that I've created, screenshot method, and then file path. So here file path, you give in double quotes the file name, or else since that file path I have already stored this in some variable, so this variable, right? So that variable I will just copy, pass to that method. So instead of writing the path here, I am just giving the variable, and variable would give that value. So and somewhere else here as well you need, right? So I won't be calling this. So basically forward slash, I'll just comment it so you can see. Yeah. So after send case, if you want screenshot, what you can do, you can call that method screenshot method, and then file name, I'll say file name path1. That's it. You see this lines of code is just reduced to one. And wherever you need different screenshot, now here after username, if you need screenshot after entering username, so here in double quotes you just pass the this thing path. So screen shots forward slash, I would say username entered dot jpg, right? Now this is after username, so screenshot it takes after opening URL also if you want, or else after uh, login button is clicked. So here we are taking already the screenshot and verify error message. So wherever you need, if you have hundreds of line, just call this line screenshot method and then pass the file path that we have written. So it takes the screenshots based on those particular uh, reference. So same way, any other thing, if you feel like some part of the code is duplicating, so better you create, and then in other test cases as well. So instead of duplicating the code, now in one particular place we have already written how to open the Chrome browser, and about this Excel file as well. So this Excel file, if we would see. So reading this Excel file, right? Reading of this Excel file and then doing this. So again, this part of the code is also what we can optimize further. Again, refactor it. So create some other method wherein if we pass our file name and the username and the column, row number and column number, it should give us the data. So it should return that data is what we can write it, that methods as well. So like that is what generally in an real-time framework, when we use work on application, the framework would be designed. So we don't have to write all this Excel related code, how to read, write again and again, and opening of browser, all that codes, lines of code, you don't have to write. Each and every candidate or whoever employee is, they don't have to write that code again and again. Only in that framework, one time it would be done. We just have to call it, make sure it is being called. So we can do that way, or again, the Java, this thing. So we have inheritance, right? So here one class can extends other class as well. So if you want this test case 2 doesn't have the main method, let's say, and a normal method is there. and then or anything. Here you can just extend any other class that you can give. So log in this thing, so it can even extend this way also, it can be done. So whatever code was there in one can come in two as well. Here you don't have screenshot things, right? So but again, if you need that screenshot thing here, so instead of Chrome browser, so here we can call open browser. Again, empty thing or with browser specific you need. I need just empty thing, I would say open browser. So this, now this line of code is not required, and this open browser would open what? Edge browser. So this is how in other class as well we have written one way, and then in other classes, if it is non-static, again we can create object of that and we can call. So whatever we have learned in Java is what we would be that would be useful basically here in this concept. So inheritance, and then the object creation, and then methods, and the loop, and even this. So the same lines of code. So opening, logging in, this login browser is it like you are entering username, password, login, logout, you are performing all that, right? So with that thing, let's say you want to perform it 10 times, n number of times, 10 times, 5 times, or whatever it is. So how would you do here? You would write for loops again, for loop, while loop. Again, in that those lines of code, whatever you want to repeat it, you would keep that, and for loop it, you would iterate it basically that many number of times, and that many number of times that particular operation would be performed. So those Java concepts would be really helpful here in Selenium. Selenium is what just if you know most of the syntax parts, that's enough. So concept wise, if you know Java, that's more than enough. And yeah, so what we have left is one unit test framework which I have to tell, that is TestNG. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, basically this two days, I would what focus on this unit test framework, and then that is more important. Now apart from this maven thing, we have that unit test framework. So that unit test framework would give us once we know that, so you would know importance of that unit test framework, how we generally used in real time projects, a real time framework, how we actually perform, use those unit test frameworks. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow classes would be important, I would say, apart from what you have learned about the syntaxes. So that unit test framework, if you have, how to verify, how to validate. So generally when we are doing testing, we need to verify. So this is not actually verification part. So through that unit test framework, we can compare actual with the expected ones. So I'll show you tomorrow how we generally do that. So what are the advantages of TestNG? We have JUnit, we have other unit test frameworks as well, but then uh, we are just going to focus on the TestNG framework, and then later at the end, I would say I would just finish off our training session with one of the uh, my own built framework that I have did. So while practicing, I have had my own framework. So in that framework, how to just automate, how we can automate, or how we use this particular thing. So we use page object model as the framework, which is hybrid again, page object model design we follow. And then so in that framework, I would show you few of the concepts, like how we generally have common methods where it would be there, and how we generally use those common methods. So I'll be finishing off our sessions with that overview of what I've done. This is framework part is completely optional, exceptional for you. So whoever are interested can have that thing join. But the other concept, which is unit test framework, that is mandatory. So if you know that thing, and then most of the interview questions and all you would be having on that TestNG, any of that unit test framework. TestNG is most of them are following. So test ng is what I would say. So tomorrow, yeah, basically that would be an important session. So yeah, that's it then. Yeah, anyone has any doubts, someone wants to ask? If there's no doubts, then I guess we are good to close. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.